Assalamu alaikum, this is Brother Hameed with the Muslim Empowerment Institute. Before I get into the whole coronavirus pandemic, I just want to finally give some quick thoughts on how the Malcolm X Day of Dawah went, which was sponsored by the Black Dawah Network. And for those of you who didn't know, the Black Dawah Network went to several oppressed and marginalized black communities across America to offer free copies of the autobiography of Malcolm X along with the translations of the Quran in order to provide information about how one of the most prolific and impactful black leaders in America was able to rise out of the abyss of poverty, out of a family where the mother was committed to a mental institution and the father who was murdered by white supremacists. Brother Malcolm went from foster homes to street life to prison to eventually cleaning himself up from drugs and alcohol and gambling and vice through the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And then he came into the knowledge of Al-Islam and then on to superstardom, if you will, as a black leader with global acclaim. One of the things that I noticed immediately after going to several oppressed communities was that there's a lot of pain and trauma within the black community. And it reminded me of the imperative to express Islam in a way that speaks to that pain and trauma. And I believe that religion, or what we call religion, where you're teaching folks Islamic studies and a bunch of facts devoid of a contemporary context, along with teaching fiqh and aqeedah and hadith and these types of subjects, are not enough to transform black people in and of themselves. Black folks need a program. They need nutrition classes. They need to know the proper foods to eat to sustain health and vitality. They need manhood and womanhood training. They need job training. They need mental health counseling. They need conflict resolution, parenting classes, life skills. They need help navigating out of this mindset of low self-worth and trauma and pain. And our people have had a whole lot of self-hatred fed into their souls. And a lot of our folks' behavior is a reflection of that self-hatred. So people who are caught up in this system may not desire to get up and do something for themselves or make the necessary changes to do better. And the Dawah to Islam must speak to the day-to-day realities of black life in America. And if we're so focused on the externalities of Islam, how you look and how you dress, then we're going to essentially cause people to ignore what's going on within themselves. So we got to study the problems in the black community and implement the Quran and Sunnah in a manner suited to solve the problem of black suffering. Now, on another note, concerning the global pandemic known as the coronavirus, to say this thing is major is an understatement. It's devastating. As of the recording of this video, the number of people infected based upon those who are actually able to get the testing are soaring. It could be double or triple the people that are actually infected because many folks are denied the testing. And then not to mention the folks who just ain't going to the doctor, and also not including the number of people who are asymptomatic who are reportedly spreading the virus to others and don't even realize it. Businesses are shutting down all over the place. Millions are losing their jobs. Maybe the stimulus check will help some. The churches, masjids, and synagogues are all shut down despite some of the defiant Jesus freaks out there who just can't help themselves. No more prayer rug activities in the masjid. They're telling us to wash our hands, practice social distancing, and don't touch our faces. Yet the virus is still gaining more and more momentum as the days go by. At first they said, the mask won't help you. Now they're saying you may need to wear the mask when you go out. Yet as of now, you can't find a mask anywhere in America. And they're telling you to do arts and crafts and DIY projects and go make your own. And you're talking about the total economic collapse in America or in the world. Let me give a couple of thoughts on this. First, it appears that a lot of black folks are not taking this thing very seriously. They said black folks were immune to the virus with no evidence and that the magical melanin is going to protect you. I'm in a mostly black city, and most of the reported cases are black folks. And much of the deaths in America are folks who are black, 40%. They said the melanin is the reason why the virus isn't as widespread in Africa as it is in other countries like Italy and the US. Well, that's because maybe they don't have access to the testing like other places. And if they did, Africa has a whole lot of youth, millions and millions upon youth. And they said that the virus doesn't really impact or have a deleterious effect on the youth as it does the elderly and the immune suppressed. Then they said it's not widespread in Africa because of the heat from the sun that gives you your melanin. Well, there are a lot of places in the U.S. that's hot, like Florida, California, and Arizona, and reportedly they have very high instances of people infected with the virus. So we really need to stop with the black conscious conspiracy theories that are based upon pseudoscience, as if melanin is the determinant for godliness. What decides who's close to God or not? It's not how much melanin you got. It's about how much taqwa you got. So we really got to stop it with the nonsense and the conspiracy theories. Real talk. Now, you go to the ghettos and hoods across America, you have a lot of black folks are still out business as usual, smoking blunts, walking down the street, throwing house parties and barbecues with more than 10 people, no gloves, no masks, just walking in the house with your shoes on, and at the same time walking coronavirus all on the floor in your house. And according to data, this thing is taking out a large number of black people. These are black folks who don't pay attention to the news, black folks that don't trust data and science, but put more trust in social media posts and conspiracy theories. So I think we really need to take this thing seriously and make all the necessary precautions that the authorities are telling us to take, and then some. Because it doesn't seem like the authorities and the experts really know what the deal is with this virus, or they don't want us to know, and the information keeps changing every day. There's still no consensus about the incubation period of the virus. Some say it's 14 days, and some say even longer than that. Some are saying it's airborne and remains in the air for a couple of hours. They don't really know. So it'll be in our best interest to practice the social distancing and be more meticulous with our hygiene, and fortify our immune systems by consuming the proper foods and refraining from the unhealthy foods, drinking herbal teas or whatnot. There's not a single black person in America that does not have a family member or a friend with either high blood pressure, diabetes, or obesity issues. So you're basically on the edge of the cliff, and the last thing you need is the coronavirus wind to come hurl you into the fire. Black folks, take this thing seriously. And if we can't have this, we can't have this Eurocentric perspective towards hygiene. That's what's wiping a whole lot of people out, thinking that hand sanitizer is going to kill everything. So, hand sanitizer is not a good substitute for washing your hands. It's just not. You got to always plan for a rainy day. That's one thing that this virus has taught us. Having supplies in your home for 2 to 3 months may be a good idea. Being able to eat 1 to 2 meals a day may be a good idea. Now, as far as the conspiracy theories of how this thing happened, whether it was turning on 5G in Wuhan, China, or the virus being bioengineered by a mad scientist, or the Microsoft guy just wants us to stop fighting against his vaccines, or all the above. It's all good conversation points, but no one really knows for certain. Now, from a person like myself, who's worked in telecommunications for quite some time, the 5G thing is really a bad conspiracy theory, because 5G has been in America in some places since 2018, but there was no coronavirus up until recently. And then although radio frequency is technically radiation, but it's not the same as ionizing radiation on the other end of the electromagnetic spectrum, such as the X-rays, gamma rays, ultraviolet rays. That's basic elementary science. And then, viruses and radio waves aren't transmitted in the same way. Viruses are spread from person to person through your saliva or nose droplets or whatever. The only viruses that transmitted through radio waves are the ones that affect computers. And then There's no such thing as 5G towers. All of the current cell towers that are on the 2G, 3G, or 4G network are just being upgraded to the 5G network, and they're building more of these around the country. And then if it was 5G that's causing people to break out with the coughs and the fever, then why is the virus spreading like crazy in places where there is no 5G? So we really need to think about the stuff that we repeat and share online. Social media is a misinformation tool. Russian hackers got you believing all types of nonsense. If you want to study science and history, go the old-fashioned way and read a book. So regardless of how and why this thing happened and where it came from, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is still in control, and He has more power than 5G, the Microsoft dude, and the coronavirus. And He willed for this to happen. If He didn't will for it to happen, it wouldn't have happened. The bottom line is, whenever you have a physical reality, there's an underlying spiritual manifestation. Look at what they're telling us. Social distancing and proper hygiene is what's going to save and protect you from the virus. So how about if we distance ourselves from the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made forbidden, and cleanse ourselves internally of the thoughts, behaviors, and mindsets that hinder us from reaching Allah, then maybe we can get Allah's help through this coronavirus pandemic. We don't need a masjid to worship Allah. The whole earth is a masjid. The masjid are just, buildings made of wood, drywall, and steel. The true house of Allah is something that you have to build within your own heart and mind. And that's where the remembrance of Allah should reside. Finally, brothers and sisters, whenever this all ends, we got to let our people know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not change the condition of a people until they change what is within themselves. So if we want God to make a difference in our lives on the outside, we have to first change what's going on the inside. No more white supremacy today. It's ending. No more black supremacy today. It's ending. Be a God supremacist and be patient. This too shall pass. Please like, share, and comment. Check out blackdawahnetwork.com and muslimempowermentinstitute.org and on all social media outlets. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.